I just don't like the fakeness. Any type of with the coaching side of things, and everybody can be a coach nowadays, right? It's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing because then it attracts the wrong people sometimes, and the false or fake messages out there,
Well,
right?
that's being exposed a lot here right now. There's a
Yeah.
lot of these Instagram or social media gurus
Yeah.
that are getting busted for doing really bad stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that we have reached an age where it's like the age of deception. Like with social media, or at least with AI at this point, like you can create whatever reality that you want. And unfortunately, once you meet these people, they can put on a good show, but how long does it actually last?
What's going on, my people? Welcome back to the It's Not Dead show, because it isn't dead. The American dream is well and alive. And I have a real treat for you today, guys. Christopher Reeves, entrepreneur, personal trainer. He's super jacked, man. He's making me look like a dweeb over here.
Oh, don't do that to yourself, bro.
And more than that, it's like networking, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
a lot of that into creating different businesses. And, we've been friends and really in the same networks for about 2 years now.
Yeah, 2 or 3 years.
Or so here in Arizona. And, I've just seen you grow, man. And that's why I wanted to chat it up over here, man.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I love watching your content, man.
Thank you.
I love the real factor that you bring. It's not this fabricated reality that social media brings us so much. You bring like the truth, and in a way that's consumable, that doesn't make us feel like, or at least for me, I don't feel like a loser. Like, oh, he's doing so great. Jonathan is just so much bigger and better. I feel related to you, where I can follow in your footsteps and learn from you. So I appreciate that.
100%. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, like you were talking about being real, right? And that's the reason why I brought you on. I just don't like the fakeness. Any type of with the coaching side of things, and everybody can be a coach nowadays, right? It's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing because then it attracts the wrong people sometimes, and the false or fake messages out there, right?
Well, that's being exposed a lot here right now. There's
Yeah.
a lot of these Instagram or social media gurus
Yeah.
that are getting busted for doing really bad stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that we have reached an age where it's like the age of deception. Like with social media, or at least with AI at this point, like you can create whatever reality that you want. And unfortunately, once you meet these people, they can put on a good show, but how long does it actually last?
Yeah. 100%.
It's kind of sad in a way.
Well, and these guys are actually trying to coach you on something they've never done.
Absolutely.
Not only business, but like, let's say, fatherhood. And they're not fathers. Or maybe they are, but they aren't, right? So in the sense that they're not involved, right? So, which, I actually saw your event. I couldn't come. Sorry about that. But
The Father's Day event?
Yeah, how'd it go?
Yo.
It
All
looked
right.
amazing.
It was.
Yeah.
It was I think it's the best one that I've ever put on so far. It's also one that is the most near and dear to me. So the Father's Day dinners for me was a way to celebrate my dad. And I didn't have a really good relationship with him because of the way that he grew up. His father was born before the Great Depression, survived the Great Depression, went through all of these like difficulties and struggles that didn't really allow him to be a good father to my dad. And he died when my dad was really young. So my dad didn't really have a good example of what fatherhood was.
Yeah.
Well, when I came to be, he didn't know how to be a father. And he did the best he could with the information that he had. And he taught me a lot. He taught me how to have great work ethic. He was a power plant operator. He showed up all the time. He was always at work providing for his family financially.
Gotcha.
However, he didn't know how to emotionally provide for his family. And I think that during those time periods, he's a baby boomer. He died at the age of 77. And he did the best he could, like I said. they didn't have those skills. They didn't have that ability to connect with their kids because they just survived suffering. Keyword survived. And that doesn't always do good for teaching how to have emotional stability. So me growing up, I had a lot of problems. I was a very bad kid at a very young age up until about I got married and had my daughter. And that's when I started to grow. And that was the first time that I heard my dad tell me that he loved me. I was 24 years old, and that was the first time my dad ever said that he loved me.
Wow.
Mind-blowing, right?
Yeah.
And you don't quite understand the impact of that until you have a kid yourself. And that's what led me to try to do things a little bit differently. And that's when my relationship with my father actually started to grow, when I started to do things differently. And he started to have the opportunity to grow. Because now I'm being responsible for myself, which allowed him to step into his place and be able to reflect on him. And the Father's Day dinner, the first one I did was last year. And that actually got my dad to move here from Kansas. He saw what we did. He saw the community that we had built and the men that had all come together to support each other, to uplift each other, to learn and grow from each other. And he wanted to be a part of that. In fact, he was a very quiet man that didn't always want to voice his opinion, speak up. He stood up and spoke. Now, he didn't look at anybody, he didn't move, he didn't have any charisma, but he got the courage inside of him because of the people that were in that room. And he got up and spoke and told his little bit of his story. He had a standing ovation. He was mind blown, just completely blown away by the support that was around him. And after that event the next day, he goes, I want to move here. I want to be a part of this. I was dumbfounded because
Wow.
he's like, I'm never going to move to a big city like this. I'm from a little town in Kansas. There's like 20,000 people. He didn't want to leave his safety, but he chose to move here. And unfortunately, right before the second Father's Day dinner, he passed away from stage 4
Sorry to hear that.
colon cancer. I appreciate that. And once he died, I reached out to my mentor, Tab Pierce, and I told him what had happened. And he was like, we wouldn't be disappointed or upset with you if you didn't go through with this event. And I thought about it, and I sat back, and I couldn't do that because that's not the example that my dad set for me. My dad showed me how we can do difficult things in tough times if our integrity and our why, our purpose is set. And my purpose, my why, my integrity all said, I have to do this. I have to live a life for my father. Because that's the only way that his example, his memories, he would want for me to happen. So we held it, and on the panel, we had one of the panelists have to drop out for some business needs. And so I was like, what can I do? This is last minute. What can I do? Do I go find another panelist? I was like, no, I can do this for my dad. We took one of the photos of my dad that we had there, and we put it in the chair in honor of him. So he was in the room with all of us. And then at that event, we gave an award away in his name, and we held the event in honor of him to show that we can all do difficult things in hard times and still set a positive example for our peers around us.
That's amazing. That's amazing. The thing that I'm picking up here is, well, number one, regarding your dad, man. I mean, my dad also passed away in 2020. So a little different in the sense that he was definitely involved. Maybe not as you're talking about. And I don't think there's a perfect dad.
No.
There just isn't, right? But as far as emotionally, you know, not as involved as he could have been. But regardless, like, I definitely, you know, it's like what you didn't get growing up is things that you can definitely, or want to, you know, because you missed that, right?
Absolutely.
You want to give that to your kids. But also, like, in those kind of events that you put together, I'm seeing, like, the brotherhood side of things, right? And because guys, like, we don't do a good job as far as saying, hey, Chris, you know, bro, like, you're doing such a great job as a dad.
Yeah.
You know, or, you know, at work, right? It's like, hey, man, I really appreciate you.
Absolutely.
You know, we're really against showing our emotions, and that's really hurting us as men, right? Or fathers, right?
I would question you is, where is that showcased for us to be able to do that?
Exactly.
There's nowhere in the
Exactly.
media that says this is how we interact like that. In fact, I would say it's the opposite. What we are being told of how to interact with each other is the opposite, because they don't want us to connect with each other. It's easy to manipulate people when we're isolated. But if we show examples of how we can unite, how we can embrace each other and
Yep.
hold each other accountable in positive ways,
Yep.
then we are unstoppable as a community. And that makes this very hard to control and manipulate.
Yeah, 100%. Why do you think there's that need? And we can talk about like men and women, but let's just talk about men for now. Why do you think there's that need to, you know, either get a compliment or, you know, basically having that community feel or brotherhood? Why? Why do we even need that?
Why do we need that? Well, how often do we acknowledge the good things? Oftentimes, it's so much easier to showcase what we did wrong. And that's a survival instinct. That's what comes naturally to us as a primitive species. That's how we've gotten to the point that we're at right now. But it's hard to say, these are the things that you did good. This is how we continue to grow off of it. And so it's necessary for that to happen. Like if we look at business, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. Well, if that's the case, what can I do? And as a manager for the 20 plus years that I was, it's the struggle that I always faced. You kept telling me what I couldn't do, but what can I do? And that's what helped me build my teams, is because we would have these think tanks in our meetings about what are our options, what are our possibilities, and what would the outcome look like if we took that direction. And if it made sense, then we tried it. And if it didn't work out, we at least had information to come back. However, if we didn't highlight the things that worked, then we wouldn't know what actually worked.
Yeah.
I mean, how simple is that?
Yeah. It's for belief, right?
Absolutely.
I've been in sales for, you know, the longest time, and you know, in sales, right, it's all about mindset. And what I found is that, especially with men, you know, these salespeople, they're more interested in the recognition than the actual money. So when you put out like a sales contest, it's about like that recognition that they can get, as opposed to like, hey, you can get an extra 2,000, 3,000, whatever it is, the dollar amount. They care more about the recognition. And being with their, you know, their buddies, their friends, their brothers, to be recognized in that setting. And that's something that I've found. But just to kind of like add to what you just said, right? It's really important, not just because we need to feel that, but it's just a practical thing, right? It's I don't know that I can do that if I don't see somebody else leading the way.
Absolutely.
You know, it's hard. It's hard for me to say, okay, well, we can go and sell 10 deals this week or this month. Well, if nobody has done it before, well, who's going to be the pioneer doing that?
Absolutely.
And when there's a pioneer, guess what? He also needs, even though he's the one leading the pack, he also needs, because he's not going to lead the pack forever. And that's something that we sometimes forget, right? The leaders, you know, it's very lonely on top. You're talking about like isolation. But those leaders that are on top, they also need somebody over there to say, hey, you know what? We could do it this way, maybe providing feedback or just support.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's where real confidence comes in.
Yeah.
Is when you have the ability to let loose of control,
Yeah.
then you're actually showcasing true confidence. If I don't have to be the one that holds on to everything and makes sure everything is, if I can instill knowledge and the way to think to the people below me, now I have empowered my people, and I've also given myself more time. I don't have to go do things because I have uplifted my people, and now we can actually go and conquer more.
Yes.
But going back to what you were saying, I believe that it's deeply rooted in our childhood with the need for competition, especially in men. or boys if we're going to go back to being kids, right? Because when we look at it, what are we doing as children to learn teamwork? We're going and playing sports together. Now, what did you play as a kid?
Soccer.
You played soccer. That's what, 11 people on a field?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I was a defensive player.
Mm-hmm.
And so my strategy was completely different than what it would be if I was a striker.
Correct.
But my communication, my vision, because I was a sweeper, so I was the last defender on the field. I had to see everything. Like, okay, the ball's going here. We got to move the defense like this. We're going to catch them off sides.
Yep.
Well, that still took place, but the strikers also had to be able to communicate back.
Correct.
But that drove for the need for competition, and not just a competition for against the other team, but also how am I showing up for my team to be the best in my position so we can win as a whole. And I think that's where the sales competition and things like that come into play. However, the way we grew up is so different than the way the kids are growing up now. Like, I also played basketball. And when I watch basketball now, I can't stomach it because now they don't play as a team. There's no passing sequence or actual plays that happen. It's one guy comes down, shows off, does some moves, dunks the ball, and then what?
Mm-hmm.
The real good teams that actually win championships are the ones that learn how to play together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's no different in business.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, we're not being taught the skills to be able to do that. Collaboration is almost a lost concept.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think that is?
I think it's because we've reached the age of individualism. We all, as a majority, not an absolute, but as the majority are so insecure because of the human highlight reels that we've seen, social media, TV, it just highlights our inadequacies.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes us hard to be able to relate to somebody else because when we're communicating, we're projecting the way that we feel about ourselves onto other people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're hoping that that person can relate to us. But we don't have the skill to be actually able to connect. Because if we're curious, we can ask questions to find out who that person is, how they think, how they feel, and then find ways that we can relate to each other so we can make progress together.
Gotcha.
But we don't have that now, so it's hard for us to be able to do that. So we're just spewing our own feelings on ourselves. So one of the ways that I work with clients is if someone's being aggressive and angry, don't take it personal. Ask yourself, how does that person talk to themselves?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit. If he's treating you poorly, imagine how bad he treats himself.
Mm-hmm.
So then that gives the opportunity for us to find ways to relate and be like, man, you're suffering. You've gone through a lot of things, right? Yeah. What's the worst thing that you've gone through? Well, my dad died. Well, how did that make you feel? I feel alone. Dude, that must be terrifying to be alone. You've got a lot of responsibility and now your dad's gone? I bet you feel the weight of the world on your back.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And now all of a sudden you've created this bond, this connection, and you're helping fulfill their why, solving their insecurity. And now they feel strong and confident, and you are seen as an ally, not as an agitator.
Correct. The thing here too, it's you're talking about like how we grow up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how we are programmed from like the school system, maybe a church.
Absolutely.
Obviously your family, you know. So you're either programmed to be, like you were talking about, like a W-2 employee, or you were programmed to not really question authority,
Mm-hmm.
or you're being programmed to think that, certain group of people, they're bad, right?
Yes.
Things of that nature. And I think that, I'm reading this book. It's called Outwitting the Devil. Have you
Ooh.
read it?
No, I haven't.
By Napoleon Hill. It's pretty crazy. And he actually goes into that. And there's only two types of people in this world, which is the drifters and the thinkers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So what this system, any type of system, right? Like, let's not even talk about America specifically, but any type of system, it just teaches you to be a drifter.
Yes.
You know, and what's a drifter? Somebody that doesn't believe that they can accomplish more in life. Maybe like you're talking about, like maybe isolates you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they want to control you.
Mm-hmm.
But a thinker, right? It's pushed outside their comfort zone every day. They are pushed to think, right? It's like, hey, what about this? Like even though, yeah, I believe, you know, like let's say I do believe in Jesus Christ, right? And I'm trying to teach that to my kids. I cannot just teach it to them and saying, hey, this is the way it is. It's like, hey, I believe in this, but I also want you to believe in this on your own.
Yes.
Not because I believe in it, not because of all the things that I've gone through and why I really think or I really believe in this, you know, religion or even idiosyncrasies, right, within your own, it could be in your business or your community. I want you to find out for yourself. I want you to like, and how do we do that? Like, obviously, you know, and I have my own ideas, but the thing is here, it's like bringing it to like you're talking about, you know, men to boys, because that's where all it starts, right? How do we bring that new generation to really be thinkers and not really drifters? You know.
Well, I think it all starts with asking questions, not giving directives. If you give a directive, do you give the opportunity for someone to think? No. That's why when we go into school systems, it's all about a validation. And it's not validation for the kid. It's validation for the system. Did they regurgitate the information?
That's crazy. It's true. It is true.
And then the teacher gets validation. And if the teacher gets good grades, the teacher gets a bonus. And now we've completely lost the system in which we're trying to do is create thinkers. However, way back in the day, we stopped creating thinkers because we needed good workers. Good workers aren't designed to think, but the ones that break through the mold and think a little bit get promoted to management. And then that's when they get broken because you have sociopaths that run businesses now. But think about the ones who were the ones running the business. They're the baby boomers. What did they get experiences with? They got socially, emotionally removed people that were in survival mode, and so what'd they do? To protect their fears from being broke and not being able to eat, they created systems in order for them to always be safe. But numbers don't tell feelings. So it's easy to remove themselves away from the responsibility of their actions and how they might make somebody feel or their capabilities, and they just drive these numbers. Well, that's easy to do. And going back to like what it is that happens with our people, with our children, is we're always protecting these emotions, these insecurities. We're always taking actions to solve the problem so we don't have to feel. But that's hard. That's so hard. And you know what's easy? Being a victim.
Oh, totally.
Right?
Blame somebody else.
You can blame a situation, a circumstance, a person. It's easy to be a victim. It's hard to be a creator. And that's that thinker. The thinker is a creator because they want to create a solution.
Yeah.
They don't want to go the easy path. So, you know, in business, it's hard. It's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it, right?
100%.
But we've created a system in our society that rewards victimhood.
It's interesting, especially the word rewards, and that's the truth. You know, it's like, yeah, no worries. You know, it's fine. You know, and this is a little bit controversial what I'm gonna say, but like, you know, love yourself for who you are. You know, you're fine. And again, that is actually a really good statement, but it shouldn't be taken as far as like, oh, I'm good, I don't have to try harder, or I'm good, I don't have to go beyond, you know, and do better, bigger things, or I don't have to be a thinker, I can just be a victim, right? Society's telling me I gotta work out. Society's telling me I gotta look a certain way, and you know, then obviously that's when it becomes the victim mentality right away.
Right.
You know what I mean? But the truth is like it's not even about like adults. Like you said, it's from the moment you're a kid. It's like, hey, and I'm a millennial. We were getting those participation awards and things of that nature.
That's what it started with. Well, I'd like to go back to what you said when you said to love yourself.
Yeah.
That's a very vague and open phrase.
Correct.
Now, what I would encourage us to do is to define what love actually looks like. That's crazy, right? We live in a society right now where we don't want to work. That's why marriages are at their all-time high of being ended. Because the minute that someone's being held accountable, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to have to change. My identity, who I believe that I am, isn't necessarily true, and I don't want to confront that because I could be better. Love is accountability. Now, that doesn't mean you go and be like, you did this wrong, and we go back to what we talked about earlier about what can we do versus what we fucked up on. I don't know if I could say that, but we start pulling back and looking at what things actually look like love. Like on the 17th, I will be married to the most amazing Latino woman for 15 years.
Good for you, man.
Has it been easy? Absolutely not. But what great things are easy. She's held me accountable even in the moments that I wanted to end it all. And what got me to the person that I am today is I had to look in the mirror and not be a victim. I had to look in the mirror and accept my responsibility and say that I can be better. And the people that are around me that care about me want me to be better. Yes, they're holding me accountable. Yes, this is difficult. But I have a responsibility not just to them, but also to myself to live up to the man that I could be.
So that's true love.
Absolutely.
Yes, I love that.
Now, is there better ways to communicate? Absolutely.
Totally.
There's always better ways to improve on things. And to each person, it may be different because we go back to the childhood. But once we start learning how to witness triggers and things like that and improve our skill sets, because you do solar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there one tool that you use for every single project to do the whole thing?
No.
So why would that be for anything else that we have in life?
Yeah.
Everything's relatable.
Mm-hmm.
I did personal training.
Yeah.
You can't just do one movement to fix your whole body.
Yeah, no.
There's not just one thing that builds a house.
Yep.
There's not just one job in a business. Everything's relatable. If we find ways to relate things, we can make progress faster.
It's definitely complex. Life is complex, and especially with business, that you're talking about, like there's definitely not just one tool. One size fits all. And that's the part where, like, I feel like as a society we're like failing. It's because we think that there should be that one little drop shipping business, and with that one product that's gonna allow me to go and have my little laptop. It has to be a MacBook, right? So in freaking Aruba or whatever, Bora Bora, even better, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm over here making at least $8,000 a day, and I'm just drop shipping over here. And it just doesn't happen that way, like I really haven't met that guy yet, so I've seen them online.
What? The human highlight reel?
Yeah.
It wouldn't lie to you, would it?
But I haven't met those people yet.
Well, I think
we're in business networking and everything, and we haven't met those people yet.
I do believe, though, it's fractional because there are cases out there. How rare they are, that's yet to be determined.
Yeah, that's right.
Because anybody can produce anything that they so choose if they put enough effort into it.
Yeah.
So it's easy online to fabricate a story. It's hard to show up in life and be that person.
Well, in this book that I'm reading, and I just hit home, Napoleon Hill goes into saying that when you see somebody that is very successful, there is a proportionate way. So like basically the successes, let's say they have 10 successes in life, they have the same proportion of failures.
Absolutely.
That you didn't see. Minimum of the same proportion. They might have more. Mm-hmm. So basically you had 10 success, 10 failures. Yeah. So, and that's the part that like people don't want to see. They don't want to focus on that, which again, it's fine. But again, just know that those are there. You may not see them, but those are totally there.
What do you know about Napoleon Hill?
Not a lot, but
you should look into his past.
Yeah.
He was not a very good man.
Correct.
He was a very bad person to his spouses, if I remember right.
Yep.
However, that gives us the opportunity for reflection. Yep. Now, he may have done bad things. I did bad things. Yep. I'm sure that you've made a few mistakes in your life.
Yep.
However, if we're accountable for ourselves and we learn from our mistakes, that's what gives us the opportunity of reflection and empowers our story to be able to help others. And that's why Napoleon Hill was able to do what he did.
Yep. And this is a crazy book because it actually was hidden from people for like 72 years because it's very controversial. Yeah. It's literally him having a conversation with the devil kind of thing. And the devil's telling him, this is what I do with society. This is exactly how I create drifters. And they're saying that the devil hates thinkers, you know? Yeah. So anyway.
Well, the devil likes distractions.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe that we need to identify an end game. What is our legacy? Who do we want to be remembered as?
Yeah.
And if we can picture that and define what that looks like, we at least can make efforts and strategic actions to end up being that person. Now, may that change throughout time as you acquire more information and knowledge? Absolutely.
Yeah.
However, when you go out with a sales goal, you have a sales goal, right?
Yeah.
And you know how to break it down from the end to the beginning.
Yep.
But you didn't start at the beginning and being like, all right, we're going to do these things and we'll just guess where we're going to end up.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
But why don't we do that with our lives, with our character, with our legacy?
Mm-hmm. We just want a quick fix, right? That's the thing. We just want a quick fix, and we think that that's just the way everybody else does it. But it's a journey. Everything is a journey. It takes a long time. You know, there's a whole story about like, oh, you were just only 3 feet from that, the mine gold, right? And you were digging, and you thought you sold the mine, but then this guy came in and found the actual gold, right? Mm-hmm. It's a whole concept of staying consistent. Mm-hmm. I think that just inconsistency is part of who we are nowadays, you know. And
but inconsistencies can be beautiful if we utilize the information for what it is. Correct. If we deny it and run from it, once again, we're back to this accountability
Exactly,
thing.
Just understanding, okay, why was I inconsistent? What happened? Okay, maybe I'm not really good at, let's say, basketball. Or like you said, I can't watch it anymore. Totally fine, as long as you find and learn from those mistakes, right?
Now,
or the inconsistencies, like you said.
I love watching my daughter play.
Yeah.
But to watch a grown man play a sport to get paid millions of dollars while our society crumbles around us blows my mind. Like we were driving the other day, I went and spoke at this conference, and we saw all these homeless people when we stopped to get some canes, so I had some food in me right before I spoke, and I was just dumbfounded.
Yeah.
And my mom brought up a thing. She goes, there's all kinds of help for people. They've gotten comfortable with living on the street. And I think that's the thing is our bodies are designed to find the easiest way to do things. That's why our muscle tissue all connects to way. But if you want to build specific tissue, you have to isolate it out. Now, that's not comfortable. So like, why do most people not go to the gym? Mm-hmm. Because it's not comfortable. Mm-hmm. Why do most homeless people not go get the help that's available? Because that's not comfortable. And we could go through all different types of scenarios, but we're 100%. Right back to comfort.
Yep.
But I think it really goes back to when we look at leadership and who's leading and who's setting the example. And you made a comment on one of your podcasts that I didn't necessarily 100% agree with. You said that men have to be the leader, the head leader in the family. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I do believe that men have to be a leader, but I also believe that the wife has to be a leader. but we just have different roles that we provide.
Correct. And I wasn't saying it like that. Obviously, my wife, if you met her, she's 100% a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, you know, in the house, like, I don't really touch a few things. In fact, a lot of things, because she's the boss of the house.
I'm guilty there too.
Yeah. It really is more on the, and I know which one you're talking about. It was mainly about the roles,
Yes.
right? And society trying to destroy those roles.
Yes.
That, for example, men, by and large, are, you know, designed to be the provider.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what it was before. You know, 300, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, whatever it was. And we're basically making that be more of an evil thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, how come women cannot also provide? That doesn't mean they cannot provide. It's just, hey, if you want to have a family, who's going to raise those kids?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part where, you know, I definitely feel very strong about.
Mm-hmm.
Because, man, we're not, I mean, even there's studies that, like, the crying of a baby for a man, it creates some, like, disturbance in our brains.
That's different than a woman,
That's
right?
different than a woman.
Absolutely.
So that's really what I was more like focused on.
Well, I would say then the real opportunity becomes in how we define what a word looks like.
Yeah.
And when we just say a provider, it's very vague. And I think that's probably the biggest opportunity our society has. As long as we keep it vague, then we can manipulate it to fit our agenda.
Totally.
But if we define it down to explain exactly what this looks like, provide. Well, that's what my dad thought he was doing. But yet, he was just providing financially.
Correct.
He wasn't providing emotionally.
Uh-huh.
And then when we don't...
Or spiritually, too.
Absolutely.
Yep.
When we don't define it down, we rob the opportunity for actual growth.
Mm-hmm.
We aren't taking accountability for all aspects of it. Now, for a man, the way I see things, the man sets the example for a boy on how to be a man. And how does the man look? How does he treat his spouse? How does he treat his friends? How does he act at work? How does he act out in society? He's setting that example for his son on how to live. If he has a daughter, he's showing his daughter what is an acceptable man to have in her life. What does a husband look like? How does he treat his spouse? How does he act in society once again? And so then when she grows up, she's either going to look for a man like that or she's going to run away from it. Oftentimes, you've heard the word daddy problems.
Mm-hmm.
Little girl got daddy problems and then she's promiscuous and does all these things.
Yep.
That's the example that he set for her. He was removed, most likely, or he was an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with the boy. The boy watched his dad grow up and take advantage of his mom, abuse his mom, and like that, what's he going to go out and do? And vice versa for the woman. If the wife doesn't take care of the husband, then how is he going to view women growing up?
Yeah. And, you know, obviously, does that mean that women cannot be very successful in business or in the workplace? Totally not. Like 100%. In fact, I have in my leadership team, I have 2 women that are like very strong and they are amazing, you know, and I love them when they actually see things that I don't see sometimes, you know.
And that's what we should be building is teams like that.
Yeah, 100%. So it's just a matter of like, I just don't subscribe to the fact of people making it evil when, you know, manhood or, you know, us trying to be just man.
So if you
know?
label masculinity, oh, there's the trendy word,
Exactly.
masculinity. If you label masculinity as an evil thing, what does that do?
It makes men not wanting to be man.
Right.
That's what it does.
And it's easy to manipulate things then. If we put emotional bounds on things that aren't emotional,
Yep.
it makes the easy way to be out of accountability.
Yep.
Like, I'm not a big fan of this whole trendy thing of masculine energy, feminine energy. I'm in my masculine state. No, you're just being a person.
Yeah.
Like, you're either taking charge and setting an example and taking action in a way that gets you to the goal that you want to be, or you're not.
Yep.
It's not this feminine, masculine thing.
Yeah, no. No, not at all. Exactly. Like you said, we all have by and large, pretty much the same feelings for humans.
What?
That's the truth.
Absolutely.
That is the truth. So I was going to ask you, because I mean that's the whole thing about the podcast. Is it's not dead, and it's all around the American dream, right? Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
So how do you feel about that? Like, do you feel like the American dream is dead?
No, I think if anything, today it's even easier to accomplish it. However, doing the work is even harder because it's so easy not to have to do it. We live in a life of convenience. I don't even have to go to the grocery store anymore.
Yeah.
I don't even have to call anybody. I can just pick up my phone and schedule it to be on repeat.
Yep.
I don't even have to submit the order. It can be auto-delivered. I don't got to do anything. That's the most bare basic thing. What did we do as a species to survive? We used to have to go hunt and forage, and that took a lot of effort. Well, now we live in the age of convenience, and it's getting worse with AI. Which makes it even easier for us actually to succeed. But are you willing to do the work? Are you willing to do the hard thing, and that's take action? So is the American dream dead? It's not. The only thing that's dead is our ambition.
Boom. I love that. I love that. What's your handle for people to follow you on Instagram or social media?
On Instagram, it's Leader of Legacy. My business is called Legacy of Leadership. On YouTube, we have the Legacy of Leadership. I have my own podcast, Legacies Unfolded, and that's where we tell the stories of other leaders in our community to show examples of what could be. We want to try to showcase people and give them an opportunity to highlight how they overcame things that were difficult or uncomfortable. To help other people see what they could do and maybe try it out in their life, and it's successful, then we win as a society. Yeah, and if they want, my phone number is 620-255-0820.
We'll put it down there.
Yeah, we'll get you all the information. My goal in life, my why, is to help create a society that my daughter can thrive in.
Yeah.
And the only way that I know how to do that is by helping other people find ways that they can be a better human.
I love that, man. I love that. The truth is guys, if you want to win in life, you have to focus on yourself and really be around people that have, or that are winning. And that's what I see here with Christopher,
Thank
really
you.
Appreciate you, man.
Can I do a shameless plug real quick?
Yeah, go
All
for
right.
it.
So this is the first book that I wrote, The Legacy Choice.
Yep.
And as we've been talking about in this podcast, it was all about defining what things look like to help eliminate these possibilities of I don't know what to do. Absolutely. So this book is littered with questions on just things that happen in life, who you want to be, what your partners might look like, what your friends might look like, what clothes you might wear, why you drive the vehicle you drive, why you live where you live, how you want everything to look. So then it's easier to end up being the person that you can be proud of when you die. Because that's what we're all building something for, is a legacy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the only way we can do that is if we identify exactly what that might look like and then strive for it.
Love it, man. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, bro.
Appreciate you.